What's going on YouTube? This is your man DJ the Wealth Investor, and today I wanted to talk about a subject that I'm pretty much familiar with. For those who don't know, my background is in finance. I'm a senior financial analyst. I've been analyzing financials for over 10 years. So I want to talk about some of the basics when it comes down to analyzing your real estate investments and why it's important to understand the numbers, and also give you some resources on where you can find some of those big ticket item expenses like the water bill, taxes, and other things for certain properties if interested. So I'm gonna walk through this really basic Excel template that I created right here. That just goes over a lot of the basic details that you'll need when analyzing the deal, and then we jump into like Google to find some of the other items like water, taxes, as well as the mortgage and some other things. All right, so let's get right into it. Before we move forward, please know that the topics and the things I'll be discussing is for informational purposes only. This is really just my opinion, and just really sharing it for others to learn and be knowledgeable about these processes, and hopefully, able to do something positive with it, right? And grow themselves and use it to acquire wealth. So with that out the way, just know that this is for education purposes only. Boom. And let's proceed back into the content. All right, so here, it's important, I think, to always have at least these four things, right? So the property address, and then also the total cost of the property, the total cost that you will need to close on the property, as well as your repair costs. So here I just got in like a total cost of $100,000 for the property. Total cost to close is typically about 20%, so I threw that in there. And then I break down these things on a monthly basis as well as a yearly. So for the month in here, I just got $995, which is about $1,000 a month. And we're just analyzing a duplex, let's say. Expenses, I typically have my expenses, well, I see expenses typically between 45 and 55% typically. It changes depending on the type of investment you have, as well as the area you're in. We're all in different states, etc. But here where I am, I'm typically, I think, about 45 to 50 to 55% of the gross income will be like the expenses. And the expenses are going to be like your insurance, taxes, water, other miscellaneous things like repairs. So that's going to be like your net operating income. Yeah, so let me add that in here. So that's gonna be like your net operating income will be that. So let's just do this. All right. So all I did was really, I just took the income minus the expenses, was giving me my net operating income. And your net operating income is gonna be your income before your debt service. So that's gonna be like your mortgage, or whoever actually holds like the first lien on the property. So from here we'll be able to say that like our net operating income on a monthly basis is $1,000, which is pretty good, right? And then we take out the mortgage, and then our cash flow, which is just gonna be your income minus your expenses, which is your net operating income, and then that net operating income subtracted by your mortgage. So I just made it 3 steps instead of 2, but I'll do that. So net operating income, which is these two, income minus expenses, net operating income then minus your mortgage will then get you your cash flow, which is that $377. All right, and again, that's on a monthly basis. All right, before I go into my recommendation, let's just finish the math here first. All right, so then I would say on a yearly basis, right, you would just do whatever the monthly is times 12 all the way down. So our gross income is about $24,000. Expenses then about close to 11. And again, that's including like all your major stuff like insurance, taxes, water, repairs. Net operating income for the year is about $13,000. You subtract off your debt service. Yeah, so you make about $4,500 a year off of this property. All right, so based off of that, then you're able to understand if that's cool, if that's something that you're interested in. Then another key value indicator, or like one of those things that you want to look at and make sure that you kind of understand a bit, at least in my opinion, I would say it will be like your cash on cash return. So your cash on cash return here is 4.43, which is basically just taking the amount of money that it would have cost you to do this investment, divided by the cash flow that you receive on an annual basis, will tell you how many years it will take for you to get your money back. And in this case, that is 4 years and, well, about 4.5 years, 4.43, close to 4.5 years. I typically try and get my money back on all my investments in less than 3 years, preferably. 2 if I'm like, it's a really, really strong deal. But typically I try and look at it for about 3 years if I can. In cash flow, I personally would like to see cash flow upwards of $700 a month minimum. So somewhere like the thousands will be great. So just something to keep in mind, but everybody's different. I was reading a book by Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he told me that when him and his wife started, his wife, I think she was making $250 a property, and she was doing that on close to 50 properties before she started to actually like really get it. And I have some friends who, they don't cash flow as much, but their whole thing was to purchase the properties, right? So with purchasing the properties, you can always raise the rent. The property appreciates, etc. So there's just some things that you could possibly do to make it work. So you just got to be comfortable with whatever your number is. All right, so with that being said, I did want to jump into some other resources so to think about. So I typically just put in the plug here of 45% for the expenses, like I mentioned. And this is like what we call like back of the envelope numbers, just to kind of see if a deal will work. If this number was a bit higher, okay, so for example, let's say the rent was, and where I am, rents are, they're growing, probably not that much. And depending on what neighborhood or what area you in, let's just say $1,200. So yeah, see, that's a little bit better. It's under that three years. It's over, it's a little under what I would want on a monthly basis, but still looking pretty good, And overall the numbers work. Again, the mortgage amount will be changed, I'm sure. Well, maybe not actually, because the price of the home will stay the same. So how I was able to get this mortgage information, and one way that you can look for your expenses online will be here. So this is one link, bankrate.com will be a great resource, and I'm just gonna go to it as well. Let me see if I can share my screen over there. Does that work? All right. Yeah. Bankrate. All right, so here we are. Is that share? So I just want to make sure. Okay, yep, it is sharing. All right, so here we just type in, like, again, that $100,000. Down payment is 20. Interest rate, I'm pretty sure this is actually what the rate is right now, but they automatically have the rate in there for you, 6.8%. And then you just put in wherever your zip code is. So right here we got a monthly mortgage breakdown for 30 years at about $653 based off of that information. They did enter in like some basic information for property taxes, which I'll show you how to find your property taxes. Homeowners insurance, that's gonna be something that you will talk to, just get a quote from someone like at State Farm or Farmers Insurance or whoever your local insurance company is. Typically whoever, it's just a quote, right? So you can even call whoever does like your auto insurance and see if they offer homeowners insurance or insurance policies for houses, and just give them the property address and they should be able to give you a quote pretty quick and free. Another place that you can go to get like a mortgage payment amount will be if you already have a lender. You know, just go straight to your lender and talk to them and see if they can give you an actual quote. It will be more precise and accurate than this mortgage calculator. But again, this is what we call back of the envelope math. So we just want to know if it's a deal or not. So that's one way to find the mortgage. A way that you can find, what is it? Your, let's say, property taxes. Would be, I just typed in property taxes for my state. And again, we're going right through it. Like a live tutorial here on where to find this stuff. So I think it is, it's this one. Nope. Nope. There it is, property tax bill. All right, online tax inquiry, here we are. And then we click on residential commercial real estate. And then here you can just type in a property address. I don't have one, let's do something else. So let's go through an actual property, right? Not Zoom, Zillow. Let's go through an actual property. And let's see what we got for sale here. So home type. And then we're gonna just click on those three. Let's see what comes up. Hit apply. So yeah, so here we're able to see how to search for properties that are for sale and see if they work with this quick analysis that we talked about. Yeah, this quick analysis that we just talked about, I noticed that my my picture was frozen. So, but back to it. So let's just pick out a property. And again, it's important to know what your criteria is for like what you're looking for. I typically try and find like 3-bedroom, at least 1 bath, right? Or 1.5 would be even better, or 2, but obviously at least 1 bath, but 3-bedroom units if possible. You can map off like what side of town you want to be in, etc., based off of your price range. Since we just kind of like, you know, we talked about doing a property for about 100,000. So let's stay in that ballpark then. Let's look at this one. Let's say multifamily though, since we're looking at like duplexes, right? So let's do multifamily. And here, let's go to price actually. And let's type in 0 and max out at 100,000. Hit apply. All right. There we go. So let's look at this one right here. So here's a property I just found on Zillow that's for sale for $100,000. And what we're gonna do is we're going to just copy this address, go right back into this property tax. Here they just want the house number. There we go. And then North 7th. I don't know if it's gonna take all of this. So let's just see what happens. Modify. Instead of saying North, let's just put in North. Boom, and then the house comes up. All right, so from there, we got market 53212. So I'm pretty sure this is the house here. Marty, okay, that's the owner. And sometimes what I do is I go through it to kind of see if any of this information kind of matches up, because sometimes it will say that. But this looks like this is the address. So then we're going to click on the tax bill, and then it's going to tell us what the taxes were from last year. So taxes paid last year was this amount. Yeah, $3,800. And then we can also just go back to a prior year to just see, kind of get a feel for like how much the taxes increased from last year. 35, so it went up about $300 or so. All right, so from there, then, so now we know what the taxes are. So that's one quick way to find your taxes on the property. Now we want to be able to find the water. So let's go to another website to get the water. And that's gonna be Milwaukee Water Works. Here we go. And again, you can just type in, you know, probably like your city, and then a water supplier or water utilities. And you should be able to get some information for who's your provider for water in your city or state. Then we just click on my bill. And then from here, so you would have to have an account number for the water. I forgot about that. You can't just, you wouldn't necessarily just have that information. So if you are thinking about really seriously buying this house, then you can reach out to whoever the agent is or whoever is selling the property and get that the water bill. But also just talking to a knowledgeable agent will be helpful, because they'll be able to give you an idea of what the water bill is possible, what the water and utility bill is in that area. So something to keep in mind. Let me go back to, so let's switch sharing to this screen again. Did it work? Here we go. All right, so there we were able to find out just real quick. So we went through it. And another thing you're going to want to know about is the income, right? So you want to know what the rental income is in that area. And I have here a CMA, so that's going to be like a comparative market analysis. Comparative market analysis is something that you can get from a real estate agent that you'll be working with, which will give you like all of the rents based on certain properties within like a certain radius, maybe a mile or 2 miles, that fit the criteria for the property that you're looking at. So that way you have a better idea and understanding of what that property can, you know, operate at as far as rent, etc., and expenses. So that's something that I will say to reach out to a real estate agent for. CMA is typically, I have never been charged for a CMA, so it's free. I'm gonna say it's free. It should be, and it doesn't take the agent much time to really put it together. You know, you just kind of like type in the address and it kind of spits out all that information and documents for you. So I would definitely say that's going to be a resource. Another one would be to start making phone calls on listings. So if you had like that address we showed, I would then try and find, I'll probably go to Zillow again, and I type in rentals around that same area or address and see who's listing properties for rent. And sometimes what I do even is I call those places to confirm that the amount that I'm looking at is correct, to just kind of get a ballpark to see how much I could charge for rent if I'm substantially lower than the amount that is currently renting for. And so that way I can have a clear picture of what I could possibly charge. And now whoever is selling the property, if it is an investment property, they should be able to get you some information about how much the rent is being charged there as well. Expenses, we talked about that, right? So we talked about the insurance. You know, you get that from insurance quote from even your auto insurance policy holder or an insurance company of your choosing. Taxes, we talked about how to do that just by a Google search. Water, I showed you where you could go to get that. However, we would need the account number. So you need to reach out to whoever is selling a home or a real estate agent to be able to assist you with the utility charges in the area, and then miscellaneous stuff like repairs. You know, you might have to replace like a roof or some flooring or do like some minor repairs on the property. So you want to know what that is, because that's all going to matter in this top number up here. So you got your total cost, 100,000. Cost to close, this is going to be based off of like how you're financing the property. And there's some strategies and some ways that you can come up with the down payment. I'm actually going to create another video that talk about that in greater details. And then your total repairs, you know, that's going to go right here on this. So after you have like your income, expenses to get your net operating income, and then you subtract off your mortgage. Showed you guys how to get your mortgage based off of the Bankrate website. Then you can get your cash flow. And if that cash flow falls in line to what your goals are for the monthly as well as your yearly basis, you know, then you're good to go to move forward with whatever that property is. And then here, another, just one of my favorite KVIs, key value indicators, would then be your cash on cash return. And again, I try and keep this number in less than 3 years, 5 years max, depending on the type of investment it is. But everybody's different, and you know, you want to be able to set your goals and your financial projections based off of what you feel is best and your risk adversity. So hope this video was helpful as we talked about some basic ways to get started in real estate investing and how to analyze your first deal, as well as some resources on where you can find some key expenses and key details needed for the analysis process. If you found any value in this information that I provided in this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love.